Hello, I'm here with Lee Jackson and we're going to be talking about ways to get motivated in time for revision season with the help of your book, I believe, Lee, if you'd like to do a little plug for it now.
All right, well, I've got this book called How to Enjoy and Succeed at School and College, which is otherwise known as How to Be Sick at School. That's sick as in good in it, not sick as in work. That's a different thing altogether. So
You're so street.
I'm so not street, but anyway, it gets a laugh when I'm in schools and colleges. That's the main thing. Yeah, I decided that, do you know what? There's loads of revision guides out there, but there isn't really any books that actually help about attitude and sort of mindset to learning. And so I just thought, I'm just going to start writing one. So I started going into schools and doing talks and just learning and sort of developing it, and it came from that, really.
And did you find it difficult to revise when you were at school?
I think I was okay. Once I was focused, I was all right. I wasn't the best student in the world. I haven't got this amazing story saying that I went, I flew straight and got a first at Oxford or anything like that. I was a pretty average student that struggled particularly in sixth form. But GCSEs, I got some decent ones, although I think they were called something else in those days. But basically for me, it was about focus, actually. It was about having to just get on with it,
Mm.
And I remember, for me, getting the right pen, I started revising. I remember, it's funny the memories you have. And when I was younger, I remember having a pen that didn't quite work very well. And it used to really annoy me. And when I bought a decent pen, all of a sudden I flew, and I was writing loads of stuff. And cause I talk about in one of the videos for TES here that, reading isn't revision. You've actually got to get a decent pen and actually write some stuff down. And so once I was focused, I think I was all right.
And how have you found that, have the techniques in this book helped you in your life as a businessman?
Yeah, well, I use the same talk pretty much I use in business as I use with staff, as I use with students, because it's all advice on what does success look like. And I think it's all fairly common sense advice, really. So you can apply, great principles into any walk of life. So I've dealt with the same principles with some multinational companies that I've dealt with, some local housing associations, some staff, and with young people in schools and colleges.
So these things that students can learn in this book, it won't just be relevant to them just for exams, it'll be relevant for them throughout their lives.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. So like for one of the things I talk about is pushing through, understanding that if we're going to achieve anything, we have to push through our obstacles. And each one of us, I don't know you that well, Sarah, but I guess you've had obstacles that you've had to push through in your life, and I've had obstacles that I've had to push through. But when you actually say that out loud, people go, "Oh, right, so other people have obstacles as well. I didn't realise that." And people go, "Oh, right, I understand now." Because, when you're 14 or 15, you might think that life's just, for some young people, it might just be a complete breeze. But of course, as you get older, you realise, I didn't realise I was going to have to get over that problem or get around that situation. So I often talk about that and as well as some other things that are in the book. Yeah.
And about the book, you mentioned in there some research about 8 traits that make successful people. Can you tell us a bit about those traits?
Yeah, well, I met a guy called Richard St. John. Richard St. John wrote a book called 8 to be Great, which is called 8 traits that successful people have in common. Mm-hmm. And he came to Sheffield, and I went to see him, and sort of, can I come and see you, please? And I had a good chat to him, and got a little kind of customary photograph with him, and and he said I can use his research in what I talk about, around the place, and it's just really quality research. He basically interviewed, I think, 500 or 700 people now that were the top of what they did. So he interviewed like astronauts and presidents of the United States and people who own TV companies, entertainment stars, sports stars, community leaders, faith leaders, everyone who got to kind of the top of what they did. He interviewed them and he asked this brilliant question. It's not what is their opinion, but what have they got in common?
Yeah.
And that's a very powerful question to ask. And the 8 traits he pulls out of there are some of the stuff that I use as well. So.
And what are those 8 traits?
Oh gosh, you're testing me now. 8 traits. After the 8 traits, he talks about passion. So find out what you're passionate about. In schools and colleges, that's very useful. But in the workplace as well, what is it you're passionate about? I'm really privileged to do a job now where I'm really passionate about. I have done jobs where I've not been passionate about. But you really need to find out what is it in life that you're passionate about. He talks about focusing on the right thing at the right time, working hard. There's no solutions to that, no substitutes to that. Ideas. So this idea that you should record your ideas. A lot of successful business people have notebooks with them all the time, and so you just encourage that kind of thing. Write down stuff and then make it happen. I sometimes joke that, you know, at some point Bill Gates, at some point in the late 70s, wrote down on a piece of paper, I wonder if every home should have a computer. And in the late 70s, there was only a handful of computers in the world, you know. And he thought, I wonder if that, and now every home and every office has got a computer, you know. It's that kind of idea of writing stuff down and acting on that. What else? Push through, getting through obstacles I mentioned, and serving, which is quite an interesting one. That it's not very fashionable to say to serve other people, but actually successful people serve other people. If sometimes I do enterprise days, you know, where young people or all the people interested in enterprise, and then if you don't have a business that serves your customers, you'll be out of business really quickly. But it looks like on kind of certain reality shows, business shows, should we say, that you have to be like horrible to be a business person. You have to stab each other in the back, and actually it's not. It's about serving people. If I go and do a talk or somewhere and I don't serve the people who've booked me, and I don't do a good job and look after people and be a nice person, then they're not going to ever book me again. So you know, those kind of things as well. And keeping on going is the one I call it. He calls it persistence. I think I just say keep on going. I think it's very underrated, just plodding on. You know, I think one of my greatest gifts, if I have any, is that I'm a plodder. Do you know what I mean? It might not be the most exciting, but I'll get there in the end. And it's very underrated that sometimes you just, you know, with a business, you know, people start a business and it doesn't go very well, and they start another one, or they have a certain product and another product, or in the schools, you know, you have an exam and it doesn't go very well, but then you take it again and again, you just plod on. And just that idea of persistence, of just keeping on going, is very, very underrated in our society.
That's excellently remembered, A+.
Did I?
Yeah.
Is that all of them? You have to check.
I think it was 8, but we may have to count back, and maybe I will fail maths. I wanted to ask you about that idea of passion. Why is it important for pupils to try and succeed in exams, even if it's not what they're passionate about?
Yeah, well, I think it's looking at the long term. If they want to go and if they get into a certain university, they're going to have to pass certain exams. Say if a young person in school has 12 subjects, most people take about 12 subjects in all, you're not going to be able to love all 12 subjects, right? And but what you can do is, if you really love one subject, I always encourage students to think, well, really invest loads of time in that and enjoy it, and that's the one where that'll kind of spill out onto the rest of your timetable and make the rest of your timetable a bit more interesting. Because sometimes I go to school and people come up to me afterwards, Lee, but I just hate school, you know, and the shoulders go down, I hate it all and all that. And it's like, well, you must like something. I'm always saying there must be something you like, even if it's a lunchtime activity or an after-school club. Put a lot of passion into something, and it kind of helps the rest of the week go better. I remember years ago I was a youth worker, and it was good fun, but I always used to make sure that each in the week I had a couple of things that I really, really enjoyed, because it got me through the week. Because I used to work in some tough schools. I worked in the second worst school in the country. It's closed down now, but in the league tables it was officially the second worst school, and it was really interesting. I worked there as a youth worker, did lots of lunchtime clubs and assemblies and stuff there, and a bit of mentoring and that kind of stuff. And but just to get through the week, I always made sure that I played basketball a couple of times a week, because I love basketball, and that kind of got me through the week. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And something I was passionate about. And then I ended up being a basketball coach, and then, you know, etc. etc. So finding something you're passionate about gets you through life, I think.
I think that's a lovely note to end it on. If you've watched this interview and you're inspired and you'd like some more details, you should be able to find them on the TES website. If you go to tes.co.uk/webchats, and you'll be able to see more from Lee here, all about inspiring pupils to success in exams. Thank you very much. Thank you.
My pleasure, thank you.